Okay, so lately the Lord has had me read the book of Matthew. Right now I'm on Matthew chapter 6 and chapter 16, but I just want to, in this voice memo, I want to focus on Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 23. And in that passage, to sum it up, definitely go back and read it. But in that, to sum it up, it starts off with Jesus asking the disciples, what do men say that I am? And pretty much they tell him, well, they say you're this, maybe the prophet Elijah, just things that are inaccurate. And then Jesus goes to ask the disciples, well, what do you say I am? And Simon Peter answers and he says, you're the Messiah, the Son of Man. Jesus tells Simon Peter, you are blessed, for your own human reasoning and understanding did not reveal this to you, but God revealed this to you. And then he goes on and he tells the disciples, what's to come. I'm going to die, and rise again in 3 days. And Simon Peter kind of reprimanded Jesus, said, well, this is not going to happen to you. No way. And Jesus says, well, get thee behind me, Satan. You know what I mean? And I was really just amazed by that because I realized how much specifically in Simon, the example that was there. First, he comes from, he says, hey, you're the Son of Man. You're the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? When he asks the disciples, well, who do you say that I am? Understanding that God gave him that revelation of who he is, because if God didn't give it to him, there was no way possible he would have this revelation. He'd be just as lost as the Pharisees and the Sadducees. You know what I'm saying? But then, comes Jesus telling them, revealing to them what's to come. And he's like, no way, because it looked like something bad. And often interruptions from God, or, sometimes, not often, but sometimes interruptions from God can look like something birthed from the enemy, but sometimes it's actually God. So it's so important to go to God and ask him about everything, honestly. It's so important to go to God about everything. Bring it before God. Everything needs to be brought before God. It's the only way you're going to keep in this alignment with him. But it's important to go to God when certain things happen. We can't just automatically deem it from the enemy because it doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? Look at the Pharisees and Sadducees. They missed Jesus because they weren't open to the new thing that God was doing. They missed him. Right in front of them, the Messiah that they've been waiting for was right in front of them because they were so sold on their own idea, so sold on, what they thought it would look like. They imagined it to look like. They miss the real thing. Often when God reveals things to us, we can have our own idea of what it would be like because he never gives us the details in between. That's where faith comes in. But sometimes we can be so sold on our imagination of what we feel or think it would look like that we'll miss the real thing. So recently, I had a situation like that, and it looked like something from the enemy, but it was from God because it ushered me into a place of freedom. And I kind of got that part, but it made me realize, even all the things that God told me, what I am to do is something big. There's some weight behind it, but knowing that, the responsibility of it, sometimes we can, God can show us the weight on our lives, and then we feel like, oh, well, this is a huge responsibility. I got to make sure I maintain it. And it could be, from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, when really it's just A. What God does with our lives, really, we have little to nothing to do with it. It's just us being a willing vessel, which is so easy because all we have to do is be willing. That's no work required. You know what I mean? Just being willing. So the fact that we're just being willing, we need to trust God to do all the rest, because all this revelation, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, all of what God does through our lives doesn't come from us in the beginning. So it's not our responsibility to add all these extra things thinking we have to maintain it on ourselves, because that comes from a human understanding. That does not come from God. We need to, understanding and knowing what God is going to do in our lives, we need to also have the same understanding and faith in God to sustain it. That's the only way it will be sustained, because it doesn't come from us. You know what I'm saying? So since it comes from God, he has the power and the grace to give us to sustain it. Sustain it. Of course, be willing. If he asks you to steward certain things or whatever it is, do whatever he says. But it's not reliant on us. It's solely reliant on God. So even, everything about this walk is just about being a willing vessel and letting God use the rest. Oftentimes I have a lot of, sermons and kind of sermons in my videos. I talk about a lot of things. There's often the times I go back and I'm like, Lord, I said that. I said that. I don't even remember, because it was not me and it wasn't reliant on me. All the things and all the knowledge that I had from God did not come from me being strategic about it. It was just me being a willing vessel. So that's all I wanted to share. I hope you got the revelation out of it.